All right, I am back. This is new, so I probably should buy some more stylish glasses for these, huh?
Nice. Are those blue light or prescription?
No, they're just readers.
Okay,
But
cool.
like $20 for like 800 pairs of them, and then just throw them everywhere.
That's great.
You're not there yet, but it'll happen. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe it won't. But it's a relatively, I've worn them periodically, but very recently has it been more like for computers almost all the time. So
Gotcha.
I'll try and get some of those like dual, because I do this a lot, and they just
Gotcha. Yeah.
feel super old, so.
Welcome to those of you who have already made their way in here.
Dr. Marsh, how you doing? I'm supposing you're telling us you're awesome, but you're muted, so.
Yep, one of those Zoom snafus. How y'all doing?
You can do a million Zooms and you still do it. Like, I still do it all the time. Start talking.
Right.
All is well.
So E, you wanna share
Yeah, sure.
over the deck?
And
Yeah.
go ahead.
Let's see if we have a full house tonight. We'll see. I'm sorry, Dr. LaGuardia.
That's fine. Can you see the slide deck?
Yeah, you wanna hit the presentation mode? There you go. It should be a check-in.
And I do just want to say for future, if you do a slide like this, I think I should get first billing on the list of names. So,
Well, technically alpha for sure, right? That's what you mean, right? Alpha order.
yeah.
Oh,
that's- Or like you could do a separate slide that says like guest starring, you know,
nice.
me. Or not. I'm just spitballing here, so. Probably a terrible idea.
No, I think it's good. We'll put a little spotlight on you. So we'll check in.
Yeah, let's go ahead. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's about,
Yeah.
we've already hit the
Yeah,
6:30.
we'll jump in. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, so everyone, welcome to week three's online session. It's going to serve as part one of the web authoring sort of two-part series. Go ahead and throw in the chat how you're doing today, any life updates, anything you want to share, just so we can sort of touch base and see how we're all doing. Also, I've got a very tiny screen that's quite literally on my lap, and so I won't be able to monitor the
I got you. No worries.
chat while I present. Awesome.
Is it raining where anyone is present currently? Anybody? Is it raining?
I think a better question is it not raining?
Oh no. It's okay, it's not raining over here. It just nah. Okay. Yeah, not at the moment, right? Yeah. Hopefully no one didn't have any challenges concerning the flooding. I know that's been a big issue within the county, at least in Orange County.
I think I need to work on my office background. We just moved, so I haven't really set it up yet, so.
Not bad. What's the
I
picture behind it?
guarantee I have more boxes than you do in the room.
What's that?
I guarantee I have more boxes in this room than you do.
Oh yeah, we were really good about getting stuff taken care of like quickly. So, but I didn't really look at the background. That's the red thing. If you can see it, can you tell what it is? That's my hole-in-one ball.
Oh, look at that.
A hole-in-one on a par 4.
Nice.
Which for those of you that look very unimpressed, that's really impressive. So it's really lucky, but really impressive. So
That's not miniature golf, right?
no, it was a short par 4. So I will say that, like 250. Yes, Maria, you are correct. It is not easy. I've been playing for 30 years and I'm still awful at it. So yeah, get them started young, Casey. I just met this kid the other day, or some friends whose kid is like 12, and he's like playing in tournaments and he's shooting like 84s, which is really pretty good for a 12-year-old.
That's impressive.
But it's super frustrating. So it's easy to get burnt out on because it's so frustrating. You can be playing great and then just lose it forever. So, or temporarily lose it. Yeah, Jeannie, I went from basketball to golf because of back. So it was a little bit of a transition. Yikes.
So we have until 6:40 slated for the check-in, but if we don't think we're going to get
Yeah.
too
Yeah,
many,
we can just jump. Yeah.
cool. All right, sweet. So, well, let me go back really quickly just so you can see that. This is the outline for today's meeting. So we're going to cover a little bit of housekeeping, some questions that we've been getting, and then we'll move on. Thankfully, we have Dr. Hartshorn here with us tonight. We're very grateful that he's willing to share his expertise with the web authoring. He's going to do a demonstration with Dreamweaver that we think you're all going to find very helpful. And of course, we'll close it off with next steps, what to expect, a few reminders regarding deadlines, that kind of thing. And then, of course, the one-word checkout. And hidden within this whole itinerary will be a moment that we share that that code that you'll eventually submit as proof of either attendance or watching the recording. So for these questions, how do we know when we have class? We know that this is a question that surfaces every now and then. Dr. Marsh actually included a very helpful note in his most recent announcement. Note that those announcements often have a video component in them, and so don't skip out on that. There is some information highlighted with text, like written text, but go ahead and press play on those videos because there's a lot of really helpful information. And one of the things that he mentioned was that we have over on the left-hand side, that panel where you have that's where you access modules, that kind of thing. There's one labeled Zoom. And so if you click that, you'll actually get the calendar for all the previous sessions that we've had, all the upcoming sessions that we will have. And that way you know what time we're meeting. You'll note, we'll remind you later on tonight, but next week's meeting is actually at a different time. And so those little changes will be evident on that page. And that way you know, and you're not falling behind. We've continued to get a few messages regarding the 403 error message. Nothing's wrong, everything's fine. Because we haven't actually populated our web pages just yet, there's nothing to show. And so do not worry if you continue to get that message. You will continue to get it until the project is underway. So don't worry there. And then a question that sort of surfaces in previous semesters, so we just want to make sure that we knock it out here at the top. Do you need to purchase a domain name? No, you don't. All of your files are going to be uploaded to the server that Dr. Hartshorn is providing. And so that is not an expectation of you guys. Don't worry about that. And then is Dreamweaver required? So this is a question that kind of, I think it resurfaces just because there's a few moving parts. So I'm going to hopefully spell it out now so that it's very clear. There's really two things that you should keep in mind. There is the multimedia project due sort of towards the end of the semester. That's where all of this is sort of culminating. For that project, you're actually free to use any web authoring software, like things off the cloud, cloud-based. We're talking Weebly, Wix, Google Sites, Dreamweaver, which we'll discuss tonight. Really, the sky's the limit, so long as you can produce web pages that satisfy the criteria that we'll be grading for. And so you have that freedom. Now, that's one part. The other part is what's sort of immediately in front of us, which is the web shell assignment. If you were to take the quote unquote easy route and go with like a Google Sites later on in the semester, you won't really be manipulating any code. You wouldn't really be touching HTML, and you wouldn't be gaining some of the skills that we're hoping you take away from this course. And so for that reason, the web shell assignment is a little bit more rigid, and you are limited to using Dreamweaver or a free alternative known as SeaMonkey Composer. It's a distinction we make in the readings, and it's something that we'll probably discuss more this evening. The free alternative, don't get that confused with the free trial of Dreamweaver. So you can actually have the Dreamweaver program for, I think it's 7 days. If you time it right, if you know you're not going to use Dreamweaver for that multimedia project, you just sort of need it to satisfy the web shell assignment. Perhaps you can fudge the dates and make it work within those 7 days. More likely, because it's sort of, if it's new to you especially, you'll need a little bit more time to work with it. And so we have plans that are for purchase, which are paid on a monthly basis. You can, through Adobe, you can get a single program. You don't have to get the entire creative suite. And so if you were, I think it's like around $10 or $12. We actually have the exact number later on in the slide deck for what the single app cost would be on a monthly basis through Adobe. But if you don't want to pay at all, you could use the SeaMonkey Composer, and it would allow you to manipulate code in the way that we're hoping you do with Dreamweaver. So either of those two are fine for the web shell. So there's a web shell. We want you kind of getting down and dirty with the code, not terribly, not in a very robust way, but in a very preliminary, introductory way. And then the sky's the limit for that final project. And then where can we ask or receive feedback? So there are two specific sort of ongoing discussion threads that we encourage you to look at. We have the help ask the instructor. Those are questions specific to either Dr. Marsh or myself or Dr. Hartshorn. And we'll be scanning those periodically to make sure that we're answering those questions. Even if we have a question that keeps surfacing and our answer to you via email is particularly helpful, we might actually ask you to, hey, go ahead and copy and paste this over to that discussion so that other people can benefit. And that way we're not answering the same question over and over. And then the alternative, or the other discussion rather, is the peer comments one. If you have something, you're working on your web shell, you're working on your multimedia project, later on the podcast assignment, anything like that, if you want your peers to have a look at it and sort of give you their feedback, that's a great place to share it with them. And then of course you can always reach out to us via the web courses inbox, and we'd love to answer any of your questions. And so with that, I'm actually going to hand over, I guess I'll stop sharing and I'll hand the mic, if you will, over to Dr. Hartshorn.
Thank you, Eric. Well, I'm super excited to be here, and y'all are in for a treat tonight. So this is my favorite session to do. Well, probably one of my top 3 favorite sessions to do. Don, I love the post that you just said that I'm freaking out that I have to quickly learn coding. You don't. We're going to teach you just enough coding to be dangerous. Really, we don't want you to know how to code. We want you to know how to troubleshoot and fix what's there. So if you're doing Google Sites, for example, you can go in and tweak, you can modify things using the code. We're going to go into how to use it sparingly, though. You're not going to have to create anything from scratch using code or anything like that. So we're going to go ahead and just get going. I'm going to go ahead and let me get my screen out of the way a little bit here. Okay, share. Okay. So how many of y'all can see this interface right now? Can everyone see it? We good? All right. Perfect. Let me put the chat up so I can kind of at least try and follow along with these. So this is the Dreamweaver interface, and it's a little bit intimidating at first because most of y'all haven't had any experience with this. Real quickly, can I get a show of hands for people who have used Dreamweaver in the past? 0 hands. Awesome. Y'all are gonna learn a lot. This is gonna be fun. All right. So real quickly, I'm gonna go ahead and, so this is the basic interface. And then I'm gonna a lot of times I'm gonna talk about stuff, and your basic file menu, edit menu, view menu, insert tools, those will be there as well that you can reference. Those are just basic ones. Your site window is going to be really useful later on. So I'll kind of move back and forth. Did y'all see me when I moved over? Did it kind of show the navigation menu? Or okay, cool. So we're going to just jump in and get started. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a new document very quickly. And when I click create a new document, I get all of these options here: HTML, CSS, blah, blah, blah. The only one you really need to worry about right now is CSS. Then they give us some basic defining things. We can give it a title, but we're going to hold off on that. Bootstrap is really cool because we can create new sort of templates for that, but we're not going to get into that yet. We're going to go slow. Today, I'm going to teach you how to create a website a couple of ways. So first thing we're going to do, we're going to create this one. And I'm just going to type in test. Or actually, I'm going to say hello, fall. And I'm just going to go ahead and save it. Maybe I'll do this. Maybe I'll move this over here. I'll move this over here just so it makes it, I don't have to keep moving back and forth. Okay, bear with me a moment. I'm see how this. Sorry. Okay, I think this may be more useful. Okay, so I'm going to just go ahead and file. I'm going to save this. And bear with me while my computer is being really slow. Awesome. So everyone have a good 4-day week so far? I'm doing all right. Why is this not saving? This did this last time and I had have a new computer. I did all of this stuff earlier, but not on Zoom. I did it just to test it to make sure it all worked. This is annoying me. I'm gonna try and go away from video. See if the turning video off does anything. Okay, so let's see. Give me 1 minute here.
I was gonna say as we wait for Dr. Ace to engage in Dreamweaver, do folks have ideas of what they're interested in for the multimedia project? And if so, just go ahead and put it in the chat. Again, just ideas, thinking about the multimedia project.
And I'm
What
going to
time?
go over that, the assignment, just to kind of give
Oh,
people.
okay,
After I kind of get into, I wanted to walk through the interface first, but
sure,
yeah.
sure.
So I was going to pull up the assignment on a minute.
Okay.
So, all right, so let's try this now. We're going to file, new. And it asks us to create a new document. We're just going to create this. Let's see, test. Hello, hello, file, save as. And I'm going to put it into. I'm going to put it into a folder called on my desktop called EME6507. And I'm going to just call it, I'm going to call it test.html. Put it into my desktop. We go to my desktop, expand this out. EME6507, and then there we go. Okay. Yay, it worked. All right. So just a couple of quick things. First thing, I've just made a desktop. I've made a website, a web page. I have this folder here called 6507. This is going to be my local site folder. And this is going to hold everything that all of my individual sites. So right now, all I have in here is this one folder called, or one file called test.html. Every single site that I create, I'm going to put in there. So I have this site I have a folder that I started called 6507 sample. That's going to be a website in a few minutes. Each site that I create is going to be a separate folder. Test is just a page, so I'm not going to create a folder for that. But let's say I wanted to create like an e-portfolio. So that I'm going to set up a folder for that. Let's say I wanted to create a golf website. I'm going to set up a folder for that. And then all of my pages, all of my content, my images, my media, all of those are going to go into whatever the relevant folder is. Does that make sense? So I've already, as you might imagine, I planned a little bit. You can't tell yet, but I planned ahead a little bit for this. So I made this sample site. I've collected some images for that. So I have some images here. I put them all in a nice folder, and we'll get into this more in a minute. I have my CV, which is going to meet one of the requirements here. So I've kind of planned out things. I have a storyboard. I'll show you all of this in a bit. But these individual folders are going to be at a level below the local site folder. So this will make a lot more sense in a moment. But this right here is a sort of an invisible folder as far as Dreamweaver is concerned and any browser you use is concerned. So what does that mean? Well, what we're going to do first is set up our site. So if I want to set up my site, if I look up here, anything jump out at you, it might be useful for setting up a site. Probably the site one. Yeah, very good. I saw that. Uma, great job. I saw you lip it. So perfect. So I'm going to set up the site here, and I'm going to go to new site. And right now, this right here is some basics. So my night, I can call it whatever I want. The site name, I'm just going to call it EME6507. Then my local site folder, this is going to be the folder on my desktop or whatever where I house all of my work. So I'm going to go into EME6507. That's going to be my local site folder. Let me just change this to 6507. Okay. Let me just say it to EME. There we go. Why is it not? Okay. There we go. Perfect. So I've defined my local site folder as desktop 6507. That's my local stuff. So all of my local, everything on my computer is all set. So now what I want to do is set up a connection to the server. So what I'm going to do is I click on server and I have these options here. Is there anything there that might hint that I want to, if I want to add a server? Anything you see, any icons that might add? If you said the plus sign, excellent job. Great job. I'm super proud. So I'm going to call this server name, or whatever you want to call it, EME6507. You're going to connect using FTP, which is File Transfer Protocol. Have y'all all seen HTTP before? Like HTTP, www? Yeah, that means Hypertext Transfer Protocol. This is File Transfer Protocol. So we're going to be transferring files between our desktop or our local site folder and our server space. And then the FTP address this is my server. So it's rhartshorn.com. So that's all you're going to put in the FTP address. Port 21. And then I've set up the username. My username is Dr. H. Rocks at rhartshorn.com. And then I type in the password, which is going to be no, I'm not going to tell you what my password is, but and then I can say I'm going to save it, and then I'm going to test it real quick, and it should come back that the connection worked fine. Of course, I may not have typed in my password right. Why is this taking so long? All right. Bear with me one moment. I'm not sure if any of y'all have seen a professor in the middle of class throw a computer through their window, but y'all may just see that tonight. So. Mhm. Yeah, is the window too small? Is that the problem? Or for y'all, I mean, Jeannie, I saw you post. Is it too small?
Yeah, I was going to recommend potentially closing out or closing your maybe minimizing your comments section or the folks on the screen, and then that will give more space to your but yeah, Rich, if you could make it a little larger.
Yeah, I can do that.
There's some things on our side we do too.
Okay. All right, so test again. Oh, perfect. Okay, I see the problem. Give me 1 minute. I see one problem. All right, here we go. Cancel, cancel. Focus, focus.
Don has jokes.
With that.
It's no, it's no. He is. This is a new computer. So it's all good. It's all good.
All right, so, all right. So we do that. Let's see, give me a second here. Username, Dr. H doesn't rock, apparently. Password. Okay, and yes. Come on. I literally did all this stuff. The test takes like 2 seconds usually, if that. It just says password, username and password combination is fine. All right, so I'm not going to test it because it works. Do not put anything in your root directory, and then do not put anything in your web URL. Just leave that there. Don't add anything, and then don't click anything on the more options, and you're good to go. So all you need to do is give yourself a server name, connect using FTP. The address, FTP address is rharch1.com. Put in your username, make sure you have the @rharch1.com, and then your password. Test it, it'll say it passed successfully. If you test it and there are any issues, reach out to me, because I entered in 35 of them, and as perfect as I think I am, sometimes I do make mistakes. So I may have mistyped a character for your password. So we're just going to go ahead and save this and save this. Okay. We're just going to call it F24, save. Okay. So now what I have here is, if I look up here in my files tab, now this is how I have it set up by default. But if you want to change things, you can go over to your window and you can modify different things. So I don't really need this DOM thing. So I can add and remove items here. But I always want to have files up. I want to have insert up. Later, we'll get into CC Designer and CC Library. So I usually leave them off. I don't really get into them, but maybe I'll move insert over here a little bit. Okay. So you can see here, if I look at the 6507 folder, I see 6507 sample, I see ePortfolio, I see golf site, I see test. This right here is just a mirror image of this folder right here. So it's just so you don't have to go back and forth. You can just open files and stuff inside of Dreamweaver here. Does that make sense? I'm going to make this, is that a little better size-wise? Does that help?
I can't see it. On my end, it looked black, the screen. Sorry, this is Uma.
Is it black for anyone else, or?
I can see it. I was going to say, I know Richard's screen in itself is black, but what he is sharing, that's you should be able to see the Dreamweaver screen.
Yeah, you should see just a white page that says like hello all at the top. Well, if you're having trouble seeing it, it will be recorded, but there's also streamlined videos of this that walk through the process as well. So I'm not sure why it wouldn't be popping up. Let me turn my video back on.
Well, it kicked me out and now I came back on and I can see it. So I guess it's something I don't know.
Okay. All right. So, all right. So now what we need to do is make a connection between our local site and our server space. And we have and it's going to be all done in this files tab, which is very important. Anything here that might indicate a connection. If you see the little plug thing, that's what it is. So, and if you roll over it, it says connect to the remote server, but it looks like a plug. So it's connecting your local server with your remote. We connect it. It tells us, hey, it's retrieving information for it. The connection is fine once it accesses the server. And
Rich, there's I'm sorry to interrupt. There is one concern about the text. It is kind of small, I guess, in the sense if you're able to kind of make it if you zoom on the size of the font, if that's a possibility.
I don't think I can.
No, okay.
No. I
Yeah, I was
mean,
gonna say, you can zoom in. Yeah, I was gonna say there's an alternative. Folks can kind of zoom in on your screen. But
I mean, I can do that, but that's like that doesn't really help.
yeah,
though.
yeah.
But then when it's converted to a video, it'll be more streamlined. So
Yeah. And I would say just folks can try changing their view on the right-hand corner of Zoom. You can just do side by side, a speaker gallery. There's different views that might increase or enhance the size. So full screen, but also help you go full screen.
it looks like we may be connected. Okay, so we are connected. I don't know what that message was. All right, this is awesome. So now what I want to do is I want to upload test.html. Anything here that might indicate uploading. If you said the up arrow, and you can see there when you scroll over it, it says put files to the remote server. So we want to put files on the remote server, and it will now put them up there, waiting for the server. I do. Okay, it looks like it's done now. So now I want to view this site. So how do I do that? Well, all of y'all got feedback that your primary site, is that what I called it? Something like that, is going to be rhearts1.com/fall2024/ your username. So my username is Dr. H Rocks. So my if I'm trying to access anything at all, it's always going to start with that. Okay. The only thing you're going to change is whatever your username is here. Then from there, I'm just giving it a path until I get to the file that I want to see. So here, and remember this EME6507 folder is invisible. Okay. So that's not part of the URL. So now if I want to see test.html, I simply go test.html and it comes up, of course. I'm going to try and re-upload again. There's something going on with the server because it shouldn't be this slow. So Trenton, okay, that looked like, hold on a second. Let's see if this works that time. Let's see if I go to if I go to my remote server view, yeah, see, it's not, for some reason, the server's down or something. So I can't it's not uploading to the server space right now. So I have two options. We can keep going without accessing the server, which is really problematic. Or I can, in the morning, I can make a video walking through what I was going to do tonight.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe option B, but maybe we just sort of walking through at a high level of not the technical aspects, but just the assignment. Maybe just with the table based. Do you think that would be helpful? At least kind of share or show kind of the table storyboarding.
Yeah, I can walk through using Dreamweaver and do that part, and then I'll do a video tomorrow where it does wraps it all up together. Does that make sense? Does that work?
Yep, sounds good.
Okay.
Actually, before you go, let's just go ahead and do our confirmation code. The confirmation code is, Richard, I'm gonna let you get the opportunity. What's the confirmation code?
I mean, I think technology sucks would be a
There you
very-
go. Technology sucks with an X, not a CK. S-U-X. Gotta make sure the spelling is good.
Yes.
Technology sucks, S-U-X. All right, there you go. Lowercase or caps,
Okay.
doesn't matter. Cool, thanks.
So, all right, so we're gonna cancel, we're gonna focus on local stuff right now, and then tomorrow I'll create a video. I'll walk through it from beginning to end, but it's going to it'll cover all the server stuff. But today we're gonna do everything locally. So we're gonna create, let me run through the assignment real quick. So the multimedia web shell, again, as Dr. Marston LaGuardia mentioned earlier, at the end of this course, you're going to be creating a website that integrates various forms of media, at least 4 forms of media. So this right here is just, there's no real content that you have to worry about. This is just some basic functionality that we want to make sure you can create a website. You can make a link. You can make an email link. You can insert an image. You can submit a URL. You can define an alt label. You can link to internal and external files. You can create a navigation menu, all of these things. Make sense? So we want you to be able to do that. That's all this is. We don't care about the content on this page, but as you're creating it, you may want to be thinking about what's my final multimedia project's going to be on. And then you can do it on the topic and start it. Kind of start collecting materials, putting things together, etc. So what are the requirements for this? They're mostly technical. So it must be at least 3 pages. It must contain internal links with all pages linked to each other. So that's going to be our navigation menu. It must contain at least 2 external links, and we'll talk, so a link to a web pages or whatever. Must contain at least 1 graphic. It cannot be clip art. With that said, if it's good clip art, that's fine. If it's bad clip art, it's not fine. So how many teachers do we have in the room? Okay. How many of y'all have seen that little apple icon, the little apple, or the little schoolhouse icon, the little cartoony school? Yeah, don't submit that. Just don't. They're terrible. But if it's clip art's gotten better, so you can kind of, if it looks clip arty, that's a problem. It doesn't, not that cartoony is a problem, but clip arty is a problem. You must each page must illustrate appropriate use of alt labels and tags, and we'll talk about what those are in a minute. Must exemplify appropriate page properties. We'll talk about those. Must address basic design issues. So you're going to get that content in other content in the course and narrated lectures and stuff like that. So we'll get into that more. Must contain a consistent design scheme. So we want you to start thinking about this design and usability thing. Must use a table or divs for those of you that are advanced, which apparently is none of you. Divs some people could use divs if you knew what those are, but how many of y'all know what a div is versus a table? Anyone? Okay, good. So just focus on the table and you'll be fine. And it must upload your course to your web space, and it must include information when it was last updated. So y'all can look at this, but that's what we're going to do tonight. So I really, real quickly, just want to kind of highlight what your server is. So this right here is my dashboard for my host company. Okay. So if I go down to File Manager and I look at this and I look at my domains and I see this domain rharch1.com, and then I go into the public web pages that I have. And if you look at this, I see I have fall, a bunch of fall course, a bunch of fall folders, a bunch of spring folders, a bunch of summer folders, couple of minor other folders. But if I then click on fall 2024, this is all of your usernames. So all this server is a computer somewhere in Delaware or something that I've set up, that I've purchased space on, and then I've set up folders based on what y'all provided to me, and then I've separated them by individual by the semesters. So if we look up here, You can see kind of public HTML, rhartshorn.com. You don't really need to worry about the public HTML because that's just a convention, / fall 2024. And then if I clicked on like Shaylin Ringer, you can see here. So if you kind of take out the public HTML, which is just letting you know, so you can see rhartshorn.com / fall 2024 / Shaylin Ringler. So all we're doing is giving it a path. So if you're submitting something for us to see, if it has the word desktop or user or something like that in that URL, that's a problem because you're giving me something that's on your desktop, the path to it, and we can't access that, which is a good thing because you don't want people to be able to access your desktop. So you just need, all we're giving with the URLs is just the path out, and maybe by the end of the night tonight we'll be able to explain what that means a little bit, or not. Now, the second thing I want to do before we get into developing is talk about the importance of planning. And right now, if you just kind of started designing a web page, that's going to be a problem because you don't really know what you're doing. You don't know where you're going. You don't have resources collected or anything like that. So in preparation for this class, I did prepare for it. I promise you.
That's cool.
What I've done is I've created this folder and I've collected a bunch of images for the folder, and I put them in a folder, and one miscellaneous file. So the images are going to be inserted as to meet the images, and then this right here is just something to link to an external file. But notice how everything is in this 6507 sample folder. Everything associated with this site, I'm going to put in that particular folder. Okay. So when I start creating, it'll make a little more sense. There's nothing in ePortfolio, nothing in GolfSite. I could delete those if I wanted. I'm going to leave them there just for illustrative purposes. And then I went ahead and storyboarded what I want this to be. Now, last fall, Dr. Marsh and I did a really great website. While we like to, demo this stuff, we like to pose thought-provoking questions. And last year we did is a hot dog a sandwich? And there was, we had some hotly contested debates about that, leading the design of it. But this time I've been a little antisocial lately, so this is a topic that's near and dear to my heart. It's a robot friend versus a human friend, which is better. So I've kind of storyboarded this out. So I have a header here. I have an image. I'm going to put the UCF tab here. This is my navigation menu. And you can see here, I'm going to link this to a file called human.html, this to robot.html, this to index.html. I'm going to put a little image here. These are all these images that I've collected. I put some lorem ipsum, some placeholder text. Again, for your web shell, you don't have to do any content, so you can just put fake text or whatever. Then I have a footer created by me, link to my email, a CV where I link to my Hartshorn CV, last updated, and then I'm going to have a nice image here to close it out. So that's the first page. What I'm going to do is get all this created, and then I'm going to go create page 2, and all I'm going to do is resave this as a different name and modify this main content and then tweak other stuff along the way. And so I have all my pros and cons. I have my article I want to link to. And then for the human, I have a human image. I have pros and cons of human friends. And then I have a video here that I'm going to embed. And then, but all the other content is the same. The footer, the heading's the same. The navigation menu is the same, etc. So we're going to get going. We're going to start this out by creating tables. And I'm going to refer to this a little bit as we move along. But first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to insert a table to get us going. I'm going to insert a table. So there's one of the great things about Dreamweaver is there's multiple ways of doing everything. The first thing here is I could insert using the insert tab, and I could scroll down and do I see table anywhere? Oh, well, right there. So I click on that, and then I can just set the rows, the columns, and the table width, the border thickness, etc. Or I could go up here to my insert, and you can see much of the same content: div, image, paragraph, heading, table. So I'm just going to go ahead and click table. And if I go back to my Word document, I could do it a lot of ways. I could do a series of sort of one row tables, or I could try to make it one big table. So I'm going to do one 2-column table, one 3-column table, and then a 1-column 2-row table. So I'm going to insert a series of tables here. Does that make sense? It will in a minute if it doesn't. So I'm going to do a 2-row, well, I'm going to do a 1-row 2-column table. Now, the table width, I have options here. I can do percent or pixels. It's up to you. I'm going to do percent, and I'm going to make it 90%. And what this means is if somebody opens in a tablet versus a laptop versus a desktop, whatever the size of the browser window, this table is going to take up 90%. So it's not going to span the entire window. It's only going to take up a specific amount. Later on, we're going to talk about dynamic and responsive websites where you don't have to do anything. And if someone's looking on a phone or a tablet or a small laptop or a big laptop or whatever, the site will not adjust based on that. And I'm sure y'all have seen those things before where it asks you what you're looking at it on. But we'll get into that more. I'm going to make the border thickness 0 because the thickness is just, the border is just for layout purposes. And then I'm going to click OK. So perfect, 90% here. Okay, I'll move this over. Yeah, so there we go. Oh, all right. And then I'm going to go right below it. Now, if I go after it and I hit enter, notice how it gives me a double space here. So what I want to do is hit shift enter and it gives me a single space. So now I'm going to go insert table again. I'm going to do three columns this time. 3 columns, 1 row, sorry. And I want this to be the same width as that one. So I'm going to click OK. And now you can see, you can start seeing, let me zoom in on this a little bit. There we go. That's the problem. Okay. So now you can start seeing kind of maybe how it's starting to kind of form a little bit of that layout. So now below this, I'm going to go ahead and do one row, 2 rows, 1 column. There we go. Me smart. Okay. So I'm going to hit shift enter. I'm just going to do it since there's multiple ways. I'm going to do insert table here in the insert menu bar. And I'm going to go, what did I say? 2 rows, 1 column. And I'm going to keep it at 90 and click OK. So now I'm going to kind of give a little bit of space here and just to kind of make it start looking like a website. So now I have some color background. So I'm going to highlight this whole table and I don't really know what to do now. So the background colors and font sizes, all of those are things called properties. So what I want to do is I want to go to my window here and there is a window if you scroll down called properties. Maybe new to y'all, but properties window is your friend. You can do almost everything here. It gives you all the properties that let you change a lot of them very easily. So what we're going to do is we're going to select, if I wanted to select this, whatever selected the table, the properties window is giving me the properties of that selected item. So right now I have the cell selected. So you'll notice here, it's giving me the horizontal alignment, the vertical alignment, the width, etc. I could go to the background color and I could kind of go to, I want to kind of pick something a little along that kind of goldy, more yellowy than, we'll go with that. And I hit enter. So if I go down here to the bottom, this is the footer. I want it to be the same. So notice I don't really have an option here. What I can do though, is I have this thing called an eyedropper. If I click on it, it gives me an eyedropper. So I want the footer color to be the same as this. So I click on that and it gives me that exact color. Now it's nice and the same color. I could also click here, go copy this right here. And I want it to be in this this navigation menu as well. Whoops, not there. Paste it there, and it's going to give that cell that color. Now, obviously, I don't want this cell to be colored. I want this whole table to be colored that, so I could do this way. Could do that and hit enter, or I could, I could select cells. I could also select like the whole table, and you can see here that the whole table selected and not just that one cell or one area. And here you can see it gives me 1 row, 2 columns, 90%. The alignment is the default. How is this table aligned on the document? It's left aligned, right? So that's going to present an unbalanced look. So I am going to change this to center, and it's going to give me a more balanced appearance. Well, now it messed up these things. So I'm just going to select those. Well, I'm going to select this table, go to center, select this table, go to center. I notice it also gave me this extra space here, so I didn't do that very well. So I just delete that and I'm good to go. So I'm going to go ahead and give this the same background color, even though it won't matter too much. Okay, so now my general structure is done. I'm going to pause and see if there are any questions here real quick. Jeannie asked if it'll be available for watching at a later time. It will be, but I'll actually do a better version of it that's just kind of streamlined. So, okay.
Yeah, actually, Caitlin asked a question about, and I know you probably will address this when you do the server setup video, but if they're working and the server for some reason is not uploading or it's not connecting, will it save? Will it so just the
focus? Yeah, so you can save it locally.
Right, to your local folder, yeah.
Yeah, so you can save it locally, yes. And then when like if the server's down, for example, you can then go back, connect, and upload it later. So you could work on this, get it all done, and then not submit it, not upload it until the day before the assignment's due or anything like that. So, all right, so I'm going to get going here. In this tab right here, there is I have put a I'm going to put the UCF logo. So I'm going to go to insert and image. And then in that 6507 sample folder, I have my images and I have UCF tab. So I'm just going to click OK. Now, when I click on the tab here, one thing I want to show you, and it's a requirement of the assignment, is to make sure you have alt labels. So you can do that here, UCF tab. And what this is when people are visually impaired, it's an accessibility issue. When they roll over the image and can't see the image, the alt label tells them what the image is. So here I typed in UCF tab. If it were something else, I could, I would just put a brief descriptor of what that image is. So that, and then I do want to go real quickly and show you a couple things with regards to the views. If I go, I've done a few things here, but if I go to code, if I were to type this out, if I were to create this website from scratch and hand code it, this is what I would be coding. Yuck, right? It's ugly, terrible. You don't need to know how to do that. But what is useful is this split view. And what this lets me do is lets me select content on the page and then modify, it'll highlight the code down here, and then I can modify accordingly. Right now, most of you probably don't know any web code at all, right? But you do know dimensions and you know basic terminology. So if I click on UCF, this right here, for example, notice it highlights it here and it says IMG SRC. That stands for image source. Does that make sense? I'm not trying to patronize. I'm trying to make it. Am I being too Like, am I moving too slow, too fast, too low level, too high level, okay, about right? Because I can patronize if you would like me to patronize. I'm happy to do it, but no? Okay, I'll keep moving. Sorry. So what I want to show you here is it says the image source is 6507 sample in the folder called images, and it's a file called UCF tab. So if I go to my files over here, it's in 6507 sample. I go into the folder called images, and I go find UCF tab.jpg. So all this is saying is, if you want to find this image, go there. That's where it is. So how many of y'all have seen like a place where they're on the website where there's probably supposed to be an image, but you may see like a square with an X in it or something like that? Have y'all seen that before? That's just, they messed up where their reference, where the source was, or it may have been there at one point, but they moved it and then they didn't change the place. That's all this is doing. Then it says the width is 150 and the height is 202. So if I want to change this, I could just go here and change it there, or I could go to my tab, my item here, and it's right here in my properties window, sorry. And I see it's 150 by 202. See this little lock? That locks the dimensions. So if I unlock it and I change, sorry, if I click unlock it and change the size, like if I change this to 101, it doesn't change to 150. That's a problem, right? So if I lock it, it keeps the dimensions the same. But if you want to get kind of real, you can, if you want to tweak it a bit, but not do the exact, you can kind of unlock it and it kind of helps, you know, if you want, if you need an exact space or something like that. So that's all the code is here. You don't need to worry about this, but like TD width, TD is table cell, table column. So the width of this one's 10. The background color is this BG color. Then we go into the image. The alt label for the image is UCF tab. So if you see alt equals just quotes with nothing there, that means you didn't put an alt label in and you need to do it. And then some other stuff here. We're going to get into some basics of conventions, but you're not going to need to know how to code. You just need to know how to identify a few things. Okay. And I'm going to shut up about coding now. So here I'm going to kind of move this over a little bit to kind of make it fit. And then I'm going to go ahead and do the type in the name of the page, and it's robot friend versus human friend, which is better. So I'm going to go ahead and paste that. Now I can go in and now modify the properties here as well. So I want to change, let's see, I want to go to the font. I'm going to make it, let's see what this looks like. Let's go to Lucida Grand. I like that. I like, we're going to make it bigger. So we go to size and we can kind of play around with these. I'm going to make it like bigger than that. So here 36 is the font size. So I'm going to just try 56. So you can kind of play around with font sizes to see what fits into the particular thing. But I'm good with that. I could change the color if I want. The font color, I can make it, let's make it like a deep blue. Okay, good to go. And okay, so now I'm going to go into my table cells here. Okay, actually, let's do this. Okay, so I'm going to type, this one is home. And then this one was the robot. And then this one was human. And notice as I typed them together or typed them in, they all kind of changed the size. So I'm going to highlight that. Go to my properties window, my friend. I'm going to center it. They stayed about the same. I'm going to change this to the Lucida Grand. I didn't select all of them. So let me make sure I have them all selected. Okay, go back to centering them. All right, why is it not? Okay, and all right. But if you don't, this one, so it's not perfect. You can kind of play around with these. So this is 34, 35, 31. You can see the width side, 31, 35, 34. So maybe move it over just a bit. You can also select this cell and you can go into and make it 33.3%. And then I can, okay, I can make it 33%. Doesn't like decimals, apparently. And then I can go to this one. It's already 33, and then this one's 34. So we're good there. You can set the widths of those very easily. So here now I'm kind of done. I'm gonna go ahead and delete these, get them back up. Those little things were getting in the way. And I know that I'm taking a lot of time on this one, but once we're done with this one page, it's going to make everything much simpler. So we will be done by 8 at the latest, I would guess. So now I'm going to insert an image. And again, I'm going to 6507 sample. I'm going into images and I have human versus robot. Okay, I don't really like this image size, but I select it. I can just go down to the bottom. Scroll down. I can just now if I take this handlebar here and modify, if I don't provide like specifics, it'll change the dimensions. So if you hold shift down, it'll keep the dimensions the same. So if you hold shift down and click on and move one of the handlebars, it'll make it the same. So now I'm going to select my image here. I'm going to move this up, just kind of drag it up, and it'll kind of put it there. Okay. And I just want to select the image again real quick. The reason I want to select this because so here you can see it shows you where the source is. It's not linked to anything, but if I wanted to link it to something, I could do that. I want to put all text, robot versus human sword fight. And I can modify the size if I wanted. I don't want to, so I'm good to go. I can highlight this. Actually, I can just select this, and by horizontal, I want to center this. It's also at the very top, so I want to hit Shift Enter just to give a little space there. I don't want it going right up against the navigation menu. And then down below, I'm going to hit Enter. I'm going to left align, and then I'm just going to go and paste some lorem ipsum text. So let me bear with me while I go here. I'm going to select just some lorem ipsum. I just typed in a lorem ipsum text generator, and I'm going to paste this, and I want to left align that. So yeah. Okay, perfect. And you could put as much or as little as you want. Again, it's not really necessary to do a lot here. I also noticed it added a little space here, so I might kind of go back up here. Oh, go here and kind of, anytime things get kind of big and clunky, if you go down to the cell and kind of drag up, it'll recompress everything. All right, so next thing I want to do is my footer. And my footer is just going to be created by, I'm just going to copy this real quick and paste it just for simplicity's sake. So, and I'm going to put the image here. Okay. Let's see what we got here. So I'm going to delete this. Okay. And about horizontally, I want to go ahead and center it. And vertically, I'm going to go ahead, and the default is center, but I can put middle there as well. I'm going to link this to Hartshorn CV. Real quickly, I'm going to change the font here to the Lucida Grand. So again, I'm just highlighting. I go to the font style, and the Lucida Grand, I can leave it the same size or whatever. I want to link my name to my email address. So I'm going to highlight it to create a link. You highlight what you want to create or what you want to be a link. And then I want to insert an email link. So I'm going to either go to the insert tab here and look for email link. So if I scroll down, oh, wow, the email link right there. Perfect. Or I could go to insert. It's here somewhere too. And it's on under HTML, and I hit email link. And then it just says email. The text is Richard Hartshorn, and then my email address. And click OK. And notice it makes it a blue underline, and we'll get to that in a minute. And now I want to do well, we'll come back to the CV. Here I want to, this right here didn't change the font style. So Lucida Grand, there we go. Down below this, I want to put, check out this article. And I'm going to center that, actually. I'm going to center that. And I'm going to highlight it. And I'm just going to, the easiest way to make a link is to go to the page, copy it. And there's actually a research article on the benefits and risks of human-robot relationships, just in case you're wondering. In case you want to check it out. It's really weird. I read it today. It's interesting. So I want to insert a link. So I'm going to go to my insert tab here, and I'm going to select the hyperlink option. And it says the text is check out this link. I pasted the link. Target is really interesting because target means if I leave it blank, what happens is when they click on it, it opens in the same browser window. And then they go, oh, this article's terrible. They close it and they close out your website. Does that make sense? So you want it to open in a new tab. The new tab is a new blank tab. So it's the code for that is _blank. You don't need to know the code, but just know that _blank opens the link in a new tab. There's other options as well, new parent self, but don't worry about those. Just do _blank. That's the easy one. You don't really need to do a title or anything. We're just going to click OK. I'm going to go back and change the font to OK. Maybe make it bold if I want. There we go. Let me give it a little, delete a little, that's fine. Maybe delete a little bit of this. Just delete some of the space. Okay, kind of drag up. Okay, maybe a couple. There we go. All right, perfect. So, so now this page is almost done. So I would save it, but because I've been having problems with the saving, I'm not going to do it right now, at least. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead. What I'm doing is getting this as final as it can be, and then I'm just going to save it as different names. So this will make a little more sense in a minute. So I'm linking to my CV. This is cool. I mean, hopefully all this is cool, but this is really cool. So I want to link to my CV. If I go down here, I see link. So I could click on the folder tab and it says, okay, what do you want to link to? And I go, well, it's in my 6507. It's in my sample folder. It's miscellaneous. It's my Hartshorn CV. Or I could do this. I could click in the link tab and see this little arrow, the little arrow thing. I could click and drag to the Hartshorn UCF, and it just makes the link for me. So, and you can see here again, here's the source. It's saying, hey man, go into 6507 sample. Go into 6507 sample, go into your miscellaneous folder, go into the miscellaneous folder and find me hartshorn-cv.pdf. So that's all we're doing. Now the problem with that is it's going to open in the same tab. So what we want to do is make that _blank thing again. Okay. I can make this bold if I wanted, up to you. I'm not going to get into those kind of things. I would save it, but I'm not going to because my computer is annoying me. But now, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do that. We're almost done with this page, and we're going to do the navigation menu. So I know what I'm going to call these pages. I'm going to call this robot, the second one robot. I'm going to call this one human, and I'm going to call this one index.html. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to insert link, hyperlink. And here, this page doesn't exist yet, but I'm just going to link to index.html. This page doesn't exist yet, so I'm going to go insert link, hyperlink to robot. Sorry, the link should say robot.html. And then human will be, you guessed it, human.html. So I'm just going to try it a different way, insert hyperlink here. You don't even have to do that with these. You could just use the properties window. So I don't even need the insert. I could just highlight human and then go to my properties tab, see the word link, and just type in human.html. Now, do I need to put these in underscore blank? Nope, I don't. Why don't I? Because they're navigation menu links. So when they click on robot, it should pull up the robot page in the same tab, and then human in the same tab. So they should all, those are all the same, but external links I want to have opening in new tabs. Okay. So I'm done with this content. So I'm just, instead of saving, I'm going to try this. I'm going to copy this. Normally what I would do is save this as index.html. But because my computer is being weird, what I'm gonna do is create a new page, a new HTML page, create it, and I'm just gonna paste everything. Okay. So notice what happened is everything here, everything works except for the stuff that's referencing stuff in that folder. Because if I click on this, this right here is kind of not at this level yet. So it's not in that folder. So kind of a little tricky. So I think it's, but what I'm doing, essentially what I want to do, I'm going to try and save it because it's not going to illustrate it very well. Y'all okay with me trying to save it? Okay. Not like y'all have a lot of choice, right? Yeah, we're okay with it. Waiting for 20 minutes. So I'm going to go into sample, and I did mess up a bit, but we'll fix that in a moment because I'll show you the mess up. Please work, please work, please work, please work. No. Okay. Oh, awesome. It saved it. Cool. So the issue here is I saved it as index.html beforehand, or as test.html. And we were starting from there, which was outside of this folder. So I'm going to fix these links real quick by clicking at the properties window. So I'm going to go to window, real quickly, properties. I want to show you how easy it is to fix these. So see how this is saying, go into 6507 sample, find images, and find UCF tab? Well, index is in 6507 sample already. So if I need to just take out that part right there. And what it's saying is, hey, go into images and find UCF tab. So from here, index.html, I'm going into images and finding UCF tab. So watch what happens. Bingo, works. Okay. So same thing here. It's saying, hey, go into 6507 sample. Boom. Okay, so now I'm gonna just modify the size. Cancel. Okay. All right. Hit space here. The only other thing that was a problem there is the CV, because it says that's one that's an internal link. So here we need to just get rid of this and just say, hey, go into miscellaneous and find Hartshorn CV. We still have underscore blank. We are good to go. For some reason, this is not centered. So let's highlight this particular cell. Actually, we can just highlight the whole table and align center. Highlight this text. And let's center it. There we go. Okay. So now since it worked on the save, I'm just going to save this real quick. What we're going to do now is just go File, Save As, and I'm going to save this as robot.html. And then I'm going to go File, Save As, human.html. And again, make sure it's in that 6507 sample folder. And you can see now that I now have, when this refreshes, you should, yeah. So I have human, index, and robot in there. So I'm good to go. For some reason, it's not saving some of the formatting. So let's go to index. So index, we're good. This is Lucidagrand 56. So I'm going to go to robot. Normally this would save. I'm not sure exactly why it's not, but let's go to Lucidagrand 56 and let me go back to index. Okay, so it made it black. We're just going to leave it black. I could copy this whole cell, just copy this whole table, go to robot here. Okay, it's doing it. Okay, it's I don't know what it's doing. It's being weird. Okay, so we're good here. So I'm going to go ahead and save robot, save human. I'm real quickly going to go back to my plan, and we're going to go to the robot page. I'm going to do a robot image, pros and cons, and then check out this article. That's the article I did on the home page, so we're not going to redo that, but we're going to do the image. We're going to do the pros and cons table. That's all we have to change. So make sure we're on the robot page. We are. So I'm going to delete this. I'm going to delete this, delete this. Actually, I'll leave that there because it was from the page originally. And I'm going to go insert image, and I select go to images, go to Roberto, and modify the font size. So maybe make them maybe 350. I didn't. Let me undo that. Edit, undo. Let me lock it. Undo. 1052. Okay, so we're going to lock it now. I'm going to make it 350. Okay, I'm good with that. Notice now that the vertical default is in the middle, so we're going to move this to the top. I'm going to hit Shift Enter there, and then I'm going to hit Enter. I didn't do an alt label, so this is Roberto from Futurama. Now, one thing I would do also is I would cite this article or cite this image, very important, which we'll talk more about later, but I could do it in the code. I could do it, and down here, I could say something like Roberto image from Futurama wiki.com/Roberto, something like whatever. But you want to put you want to definitely want to cite any images that you use that aren't self-created or that are copyrighted. But we'll get into that more. We're not as worried about it here, but it is good practice from the start. So now I'm just going to go to insert table. We're going to do 2 columns, 2 rows. We'll make it maybe 60%. And maybe we'll do a border. I think maybe a border because this is actually a table for information. So now I'm going to do pros, cons. Highlight these. I'm just going to highlight the whole table. Go to Lucidagrand. So the fonts are the same. Highlight this cell. Horizontally, I want to center it. I could click on it, give it a background color. So maybe go to like a light, I don't know. That looks pretty perfect. Doesn't look good with the black. font, so we're gonna make it a little lighter. There we go, a little easier to read. And then the pros for having robot friends are right here. So I'm just gonna paste these. And then notice it's listed a grand already because I already copied it or because I already converted it. And the cons, they can be a bit creepy, upkeep, superficial friendships, and they can be expensive. So good enough. Okay. So I'm going to save this one, file save. Now I could go back real quickly and redo all that stuff that I just did, but human, if I look at my storyboard, human looks a lot like this one, right? So instead of saving this one is human. I'm just going to close this out and I'm going to go file, save the robot one as human and click save, replace it, and we're good to go. I'm trying to get done by 8, so let me just go ahead and delete the image, do the same thing, insert image. So I'm going to go to the insert tab, do it that way, image, go to insert image. Okay, and we're going to do Osmo. Okay, that's a decent size. If any of y'all know who Osmo is, y'all are Osmo. But it's Eric Cartman as a robot, so that's why it's a person, not a actual robot, even though it's a robot on the screen. I want this to be relatively close in size to this one, so I'm going to make it a little smaller. So I could kind of select it and kind of hold shift down and then kind of drag it. I'm not going to get exact with it right now, but y'all get the gist of it. And I'm gonna, okay, it's really turtle. All right, and I'm gonna real quickly just change the pros and cons here. Okay, cons, friendships can be temporary, potentially expensive. All of us have the freeloader friend, and some people just suck. So, and then here we go. That's it. There are only 3 pros, so we're good to go. I'm going to save this. Actually, I'm not. I'm going to check out this video. I'm going to remove this hyperlink. So I'm going to go to my properties tab, and I'm just going to select this link here, and I'm just going to delete it. But I do want to check out this video by Shirley Turkle. So what I've done real quick, I'm going to go ahead and save this real quick. I have this video here by Shirley Turkle called Connected But Alone. And I want to share this, but I don't want to link to it. I could link to it if I just kind of copied the link here. And I would just highlight this, make it a link, blah, 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 like we just did. But I don't want to do that because that's bad design. What I want to do is embed it. So if I click here and I look, I have this option to embed. And I click on that. I copy the embed code. So this is another example of where coding, knowing what to do is important. So here, I'm going to put my cursor where I want the video to go. I'm going to go to my split view, and I find my cursor. You can see it's on line 59 right there. And I'm just going to paste that code. So now what happens is it gives me this really big thing here. I can highlight this, and it makes it 549. I'm going to make it 250. By 250. Let's see, let me highlight this. 250 by 250. And okay, visible, perfect. Let's see if that works. Right. And then you can also do, let's see how this does. Okay, you can highlight it and we want to center it. So there's a, let me see. I'm running late, so I would center it. There's a bunch of ways of doing it. So like right here, for example, I could just copy this, align equals center, and then go up here somewhere and type in or paste align equals center, and it should center it, and it's not right now. So there's a few ways of doing this. I'll address this in the video, because I'm also not sure why it's not changing the size. Maybe make it like 100 by 100. Let's see if that does anything. Yeah, I don't know. We'll figure. I'll have to figure that out. See, width is 100. It's doing it right. I don't know. Oh, here we go. There's the width. There we go. 250 pixels by 250 pixels. This is going to mess up the orientation of it, but we'll do it. Okay. So we'll look at it later. But so I'm kind of done here. So I'm going to go back to the design view. And for time's sake, I'm going to kind of stop, but I would change the font here. One of the other things I would do is in the navigation menu right now, we're on the human page. So I don't need, I'm just going to, just so y'all can see this. I don't need this to be linked. So I would go here, remove this link, make it bold, maybe make it a different color. So now that, why did I not save it? There we go. So now on the human page, they can't click on it because you don't want it linked to itself. Does that make sense? Okay. So I want to save this. We're going to go a few minutes over 8. And I would do that on each page. So like I would go to my robot page. I would remove the link here, etc. So I would just do the same thing I just did for that. So a couple of real quick things, and then we'll try the upload again. I'm going to click on page properties, and page properties allows me to do a couple of the things I did here very simply. And what it uses is something called cascading style sheets a lot of times. And we're going to get into that more later. How many of y'all have heard of cascading style sheets before? Okay, a couple of you. So how many of y'all have used Word before? Has anyone ever created a Word document? A couple of you. Okay, I see a couple of you. Perfect. Awesome. And how many of y'all have used styles in Word? Like for headings and fonts and stuff like that? Yeah. So when you do that and you create a 3-page document and you need to go change a few headings, it's no big deal to do that. You can do that manually. It's not a big deal. Same thing with a website. This is a simple 3-page website, nothing big. But if I'm doing like a 400-page document and I need to change all the headings throughout to a specification, the headings, the styles is really useful, right? Well, here it's the same thing. Cascading style sheets allows me to go, so I'm working with a client and I give them this and they go, ooh, I don't really like that kind of weird green color for the header. I want it to be a bluish color. And for a 3-page website, no big deal. It takes me 2 seconds to change it. But for a 3,000-page website, that's a lot of stuff. So if I'm working with like the University of Central Florida website and they want me to change the heading tab logo, that's a problem. So style sheets allow me to go in, make one quick change, and it changes it throughout the entire site. So if they didn't like blue links, they wanted a different color for links, they could go here and go, okay, well, links, the default link color is blue. I want to make it a green, a deep green color. And I click OK, and now the links all change to green on this page. We'll get into how to do that for all of the pages. But right now it's going to just do it for the one page. It'll make sense later. But let me go back to page properties here. So here I can change the font. So instead of having to go through and change to Lucida Grand on all of them, I can change the page font here to Lucida Grand. I could change the size. Sizes varies because of, you have different types of font. You can change the color. So by default, it's black, but let's say I wanted to make it like a deep blue color. I can click that and it makes all my text a deep blue color. I could change the background color. I like to do this by cell, but maybe I want to do the outer edge I want to give the outer edge kind of a pinkish color. So I do that, click OK, it gives the whole page. So now what I would have to do is kind of go in here and give this a background color, like white, to make it kind of stand out. I'm gonna just undo that real quick. Going back to page properties. I can do a background image. Don't do a background image. They're super hard to do well. So avoid background images. Same thing with appearance here. So I can change the links. Visited links, those are going to be purple by default. Y'all have seen the purple link. And then red by default for active links. And you can change the colors of any of those very easily. I like this one here. You can do a rollover. So whenever they roll over the link, I can change it to a different color. So that right there that I just did took me about 6 weeks to learn how to do when I was in grad school. I did it in 2 seconds here, so you're welcome. I also walked 3 miles uphill both ways in the snow, but that's neither here nor there. Okay, and then here I can always or never underline. So I don't like to underline by per se. So I can change the heading, so you can give the heading specific font. So if you know this, all your titles are going to be heading 1, you can modify those. Same thing. Now the title and encoding is important. So for your pages, you need to give them appropriate page titles. This is a requirement. You can also do this in your document, in your properties tab, but this one is this is the robot page. So I'm going to go robot friend page, whatever. And then tracing an image. I've never used that in my entire life. And you'll notice here that it says robot friend page in the document title in the properties window. If I go to my split view, the properties are up at the top. It says titles robot friend page. So real quickly, so I'm going to save this. But these are just some of the basics that you're going to want to do in the, and like I said, I'll be much more explicit tomorrow in the video. So I'm going to go to my human page. Well, I'm going to go to my robot page, file, save. Go to my human page. Again, I can go to page properties here. I could click off, if I click off of it and go to, I'm just going to go to my title and encoding and go human friends page. Okie dokie. And I'm going to save that. Now, and I'm going to index. Now, notice if I click off of this, I just click on sort of the outside of the page. It gives me kind of the general page properties. So here is I can do my document title there. This is the page title, robot friend versus human friend index or home or whatever you want. Good to go. Now, how do I know? So I made some changes here, and how do I know I haven't saved the most updated version? Well, you'll see this little asterisk here. That lets me know that, hey, you made changes, you haven't saved it, so you better save it. So I save it, and we're good to go. So now my project is done. We're going to keep our fingers crossed here and see if it works. So I'm going to reconnect to my server. Let me just go ahead and let me see if it, okay. So I'm going to redefine this real quickly. FTP rhartshorn.com. The username is Dr. H Rocks at rhartshorn.com. And the password is Okay. And I don't need anything for this. I'm just going to go ahead and save it. Hey, it worked. Okay. Wow. Is something going to go right? That's going to go. So now it looks like the connection is there. I'm going to go ahead and click connect. So it looks like it was a server issue. It looks like it seems to be well, maybe spoke too soon. I'm getting the little green connect here, so. We're almost done. This is the last step. And all right, one more time. Let's try this. Site, manage sites. So if I do want to edit something, I would just click on it, and then the pencil allows me to edit it. So I'm going to go select. Ah, there's the problem. Okay. Or there's one problem. Let me delete this one. This one here's remote. Let me try this. Let me edit it. FTP rharsher.com. Let's test this. Okay, so it looks like that's not going to work. But if I were to pull it up online, and I'll do this in tomorrow, what I would do to see this website is I would go to canceling it. Okay, cancel. Done. So this is my base URL is rharshorn.com/hi fall 2024 /Dr. H Rocks /6507 sample. So 6507 sample / now I don't need to do index. By default, it would pull up index, but let's say I wanted to specifically go to human.html. I would just type in human.html. So do y'all see how this is the path? So my root folder, my base folder is there. And then I'm just saying, hey, go into 6507 and find human.html. If I wanted to see this image here, which is hartshorn-web.jpg, if I wanted to see that image, I would just go, I can do the same exact thing. I can pull up just that image by going 6507 sample, then go into images, then go into find hartshorn web.jpg. It's not going to work right now, but it will tomorrow when I post this video, so you'll get a vibe for what it's actually supposed to be doing. But this right, so all I'm saying is, okay, go find 6507, go to images, go to Hartshorn Web. Later on, when you do an ePortfolio, if you do this, instead of 6507 sample, your likely is going to be ePortfolio and then, index.html. And so once we created an index.html, that's how we would get it to go to there. Does that make sense? Mostly. It'll make sense tomorrow, or you'll visualize it a little bit better tomorrow. I'm going to try one more time. Okay, it's not going to work. All right, so I will actually use these images or use these files tomorrow, but yeah, it'll be probably about a 30-minute video, very contained, and I'll create the same website. I will actually add a picture. I have a picture down here for my footer, so I'll do a more comprehensive view of it, so it'll make a little bit more sense then. So I apologize. I'm not sure if it's a server issue. I'm not sure if it's an issue with my computer or what. And I am done, Eric and Trenton.
Cool. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Hartshorn, for lending us so much of your evening. We really appreciate it, all the questions you've answered. So if you guys have any additional questions, we can hang out a little bit tonight to sort of answer them. Otherwise, you have that discussion that you can ask us, the one that says help ask your instructor versus just emailing us directly. That works as well. I am going to share the slides very, very briefly, just for a few things.
So I see some questions, Cody, about how to move some text around, and I'll talk about that tomorrow, how to move things up and down a little bit more in detail. I'll kind of go through these questions in the video and try and address as many as I can. Google Images, Maria, good question. Google Images is not a source, so you have to go to the actual source for that image when you want to cite it. So Google Images is just a search engine, just like Google is. So it's taking you to a specific site, just cite that particular site. I think that's
Awesome. Cool. And so as far as next steps, reminders, just to close us out for tonight, remember to play with Dreamweaver before reaching out, potentially coming to a conclusion yourself will sort of solidify the learning more than just hearing the answer straight up. There is the 7-day free trial. The official price that I mentioned at the top of the evening, $9.99 a month for a single app. Or I noticed somebody in the comments mentioned for like $19.99 perhaps, there was the entire Adobe suite. So if you also want access to Illustrator or Photoshop or After Effects, something like that, potentially you pay just a little bit more as a UCF student, and you'd get Dreamweaver Plus. Also, some campus computers at UCF have access to Dreamweaver, so you're free to come on campus if you don't live too far, and you can have access to that. Remember the 403 error. Until you have content, it's going to continue showing. Make sure that you give credit as for any protected material. There's a few questions were already asked about that. And so the next Zoom session will be next week, so a week from today, but note that we are starting at 7:30 rather than 6:30. And so just don't forget that, otherwise you'll be hanging around an empty Zoom room for quite a while. And the web shell is due Sunday, September 15th. And so with that, we can sort of close out with a one-word checkout, kind of tell us how you feel, kind of what's on your mind, but limit it to one word.
I'm sorry, Eric, really quickly. Accidentally, I just created an additional confirmation code for number 3. So give me about, if folks can wait until tomorrow morning before they submit that confirmation code. Obviously, we know the confirmation code, I won't repeat it. But just give me till tomorrow morning just to make sure I sort it out and delete the inappropriate one, and folks can load that and get their credit for it. But if you submitted it already, it's all good. We'll catch it. But I did create 2, and so it'll just be easier to assess it.
One real quick thing I wanted to talk about with regards to should you get Dreamweaver and or Creative Cloud. The image I created on the front page, or the image on the front page, I created that today in about 5 seconds by asking Photoshop to generate an image of a robot sword fighting with a human. So Adobe has started integrating generative AI. I'm a huge fan of generative AI. Your other professors may not be, so you need to, if you are using things that are generated by artificial intelligence, images, text, whatever, you need to make sure that's okay. But if you're in business and industry in that world, the AI tools that are being integrated, not just in Dreamweaver or not just in Photoshop, but in other tools, Adobe's AI, I think, is Firefly for image generation. Super powerful, really good stuff. And kind of the idea like of modifying the size of images and tweaking things, being able to generate good prompts, and then take a prompt, like take a result from a prompt and go, oh, that's almost what I want, but not quite, is going to be really useful in the future. So, so in the class, so I would recommend, if I were instructing, like if you generate an AI generated image, I would make sure that you included, say, generated by DALL-E, and the prompt that you use. That would be what I would want. So, and then Cody, I'm going to talk more about that tomorrow in the video. It'll be more explicit there. It's easier to do when I can actually upload it to the web and show y'all what that is, and where tonight there's something going on. I'll figure it out, but I don't think it's a server issue. I think it's just my computer is. I don't know. I'll figure it out though. But the video will be very explicit tomorrow.
There's another question. Who iPhone? If named iPhone, if you wanna off mute and share. I
What
guess
was
I'll
it?
hand was raised. Someone who's listed as, oh, hi Maria, do you have a question?
Oh. Oh, okay. Was that
Oh,
the
that
one?
was a question. Okay, all right, got it.
So the cell properties, CSS, it depends on how they're laid out. So we'll talk more about that. And I'll address that in the video because I couldn't really go into it as much as I wanted to. And I can do because of all the other snafus, but it'll be easy to do in a 30-minute video where I can address all of these things much more clearly. So it'll be much more cohesive. So yeah, I promise.
Thanks for doing that.
All right, there's one more question I think is coming through. Yeah, let me see here.
So Caitlin, yeah, you're going to submit your URL.
Yeah,
So it's gonna
yours.
start off with ourharshorn.com/fall-2024. Very important. I didn't touch on this, but everything is case and space sensitive. So and you're going to watch a video of 5 naming rules. Keep everything lowercase, no spaces, be consistent, like develop a system and keep it short and simple. Like I always use hyphens instead whenever there's a space and I want to end it, I always use hyphens instead of underscores. Don't use capital letters, those kind of things. So I'll get into that a little bit more tomorrow. But you're going to need to be very exact. So if your username is Caitlin with a capital C and you type it with a lowercase c, it's not going to work. Your URL is not going to work. Or your file, your folder name is website and it's with a lowercase w and you type it in with a capital W, not going to work. Or index.html and you do a capital I and it's a lower, not going to work. So very, you have to be very exact with that. But I'll go into that more tomorrow.
Uma, you're asking a question about confirmation code? Is that what that means? You're on mute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am.
Sorry, I keep getting, I don't know, I probably got to re-download Zoom. It keeps like freezing and kicking me out. So a couple times through the presentation, it did that. I have 2 questions. So you were talking about the confirmation code. I submitted it, but I see it twice. There's one for week 3 and then getting started. Is that the same thing or 2 different codes?
Yeah. I'm gonna submit. It was just kind of an error. I doubled down on confirmation codes this evening, so I'm gonna send out the link to you all tomorrow. I know somebody's already submitted, but I'll send it out tomorrow, and then that's the link that you'll submit the actual confirmation code, the one that we articulated in Zoom.
Okay, so I submitted it as well. I just saw 2 places for it, so I was just a little confused if you put out another one.
Yeah, that is an error. Yeah, one is an error. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, and my next question for the website, I'm still getting that code. I did see a video, I think in last week's lesson, about the code, but how do I bypass that to get to, I guess, the homepage to save files? Because I don't understand it. Sorry.
Oh, she's referring Rich to the root
The what?
403, the 403 error, and so
Yes.
Has anyone done any content yet
I think Cody might have, right?
and uploaded it? Because I
Can
could
you hear
pull
me?
it up and
Yeah, so I completed I followed the video. The video is great. I did the whole website, but you're gonna Uma, you're gonna get the 403 code because you haven't uploaded anything to the server. So once you go through and you make that website and you make the file and you have to upload it to there, then that's gonna go away. It's just saying that's blank. That's pretty much what it's saying.
so
So
Cody, can I pull up what you've done? Do you care?
yeah. No, go ahead. I
Okay,
don't,
so
can you see it?
let me share my screen real quick. So this right here is Cody's server space. And his username, so we're in fall 2024, his username is Cody McQuarrie. And then we'll just pull up authoring.html, or we'll just pull up HTML. So I'm just going to go real quickly to pull his up. It's rhartshorn.com/fall-2024/Cody. And then he doesn't have a folder. I could go into shell, but we're not going to. I'm just going to pull up the next thing in line is index.html. So I'm just going to type in index.html.
Sorry, I can't see. All it says for me is that you're sharing your screen, but I'm not. I think something's wrong with my Zoom app. I may have to delete it and redo it. I can't even see what you're showing. So
Yeah, there's probably something with the Zoom app. So let's
Yeah,
try
no,
that.
no, we can see it. It's on your end.
Why is it not coming up?
yeah, I
Right.
thought so.
Well, let's see what's in shell, and let's try shell and index.html. So here we went Cody McQuarrie, then we went into shell, and then we went into index. Let's see if anything's here.
I think it might be because I have when I look at Dreamweaver and I look at the site location, it includes desktop in there.
But that doesn't matter. It's on here. Let me play around with it,
Okay.
and I'll look at mine. Tomorrow it'll walk you through, and there will not be a 404 error. If there is, I will find out why. And I don't think the host servers, the company is great. So they usually, if they change anything, they let me know, but it usually doesn't impact it. So I'm very confused as to why certain things aren't coming up. Actually, I could do this. I could pull up, let's try this. So let me reshare my screen. So here I have summer 2024, Doc Rich Hart, and then I have web shell. Okay, so I'm going to go to rhartshorn.com/summer 2024/Doc Rich Hart / that's me. Then I go into web shell, all lowercase. And then I go into, I'm just going to click index. I'm going to click and I'll type in index.html. And then there we go. So this is what I did is the sample in the summer. So it has the links. So see, so that's what you should be seeing is something like this. And tomorrow it'll be much more, I'll walk through it much more clearly, but this right here is always going to be the same for all of you. rhartshorn.com/ yours is going to be fall 2024 / your username. And then you're just going to go out from there based on what you need. So for example, if I go into here and click images and I type hartshornwebphoto.jpg. So if I go here, it's in web shell. I go images / hartshornwebphoto.jpg. This is the picture I think my wife gave me to use. And yeah, so this is, so I'm just giving it the direct path to the image. So that's all we're doing is giving it a path, and each folder is separated by slashes, as you would imagine. So, okay, I'll stop there, but I'll go into this in more detail tomorrow, more clearly tomorrow.
You just want to put up the checkout? I think you went through all of the final pieces, right? So yeah, yep. This checkout. No, it was a bit much. And by the way, Rich, we were scheduled to end by 8:30 anyway, so we're still good in time. So
well, never mind. I don't apologize for.
Yeah, you're good. You're good to go. But again, feel free to check out, and if you want to inquire, we're going to be hanging out for a couple minutes. Of course, there's some things that we weren't able to cover, so feel free to wait for those videos, wait for the confirmation code. I know some folks have already submitted, I think 1 or 2. So, but again, tomorrow I will send out the right code. I want to make sure that there might be going some duplicative efforts on my side. I'm going to make sure it's not confusing.
Don, it'll make sense tomorrow, Don, I promise. or later in the week. Is there a game on tonight?
Apparently.
Dr. Hartshorn, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, I have a question. Could you go back to Dreamweaver? I was trying to figure out where you got the properties tool from, and I didn't see it. And so I'm not sure where to get it
Yeah.
when I need to get to that point.
Okay. Who is this asking? Okay.
Michelle Davis.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, see you there. Okay. All right, so you can see Dreamweaver, correct?
Yes.
So I'll just do a new document real quick. I'll close properties out. This is fine. Cancel. I'll close it out. So if you lose it, what you do is, darn it. Give me a second. Stop there. 2 seconds. I'm almost there.
No worries.
Okay. Can you see it? You can see Dreamweaver now?
Yes.
My team just come. Okay. So, all right. So, create a new document, whatever, doesn't matter what you call it. So I like to have file and inserts definitely set up. I actually like the other two too. So these are windows. These are windows. So if you go to window, you can modify what you have. So right now you see files, you see the application frame. Insert is, I don't know why it's not. So yeah, there you go. So it pulls that to the front. The one that I always have up is properties. And so you click on properties, it will come up.
So it's in window. Okay. That's
Yep.
where I needed.
Yeah, and if it gets in the way, you can turn it off temporarily and then just turn it back on. You know, and as you get better at this, if you are going with Dreamweaver, you'll customize the workspace to what you like to do. So,
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that. I looked away and I just missed it and I couldn't